When your time is done, do you think that people will be? How will people think? I mean, when it's 10 years down the road or whatever, does it even matter to you how you're?
Probably not. What matters to me is whether or not. I know I will never consciously reject my views, but I could make a mistake in my interpretation of, what the rule of law is and the best manner about changing it. I'm not overly rigid about our Constitution. It certainly had its shortcomings, but I'm very rigid on whether or not we ignore it or change it. So it's whether I've done a good job, and that is pretty secondary. I hope everybody wants to be thought of favorably.
Right.
Well, he really stood up to his beliefs and he had an impact. And but I think I'm less important than the message.
There is something that can be appealing and intoxicating about being the principal voice for whether it's a religious point of view or a political point of view, especially when it starts to achieve a following and recognition. Do you ever think about that? How personally you are being affected by some degree of following and adoration and respect?
I haven't. It's something that I can't avoid thinking about, but it makes me very uncomfortable. And I mean, the praise is more than I think I deserve, and I don't think I'll ever fall into the temptation of that direct in my life, because I would just as soon live more quietly. So
you haven't made any effort to live quietly in recent times.
Yeah, it is a conflict. Well, I have probably never thought it would be so noisy. I didn't think it was going to be quite this. I thought the impact would be quieter. So it's hard to do. I mean, how can you
didn't mind being the voice in the wilderness, because the wilderness
I was more comfortable. I was more comfortable.
Place, right?
And I was more comfortable trying to set a sort of a standard and say, well, maybe somebody will look at it someday and say, hey, this is what we should have done. But standing out there with a banner leading a charge is not quite what I had anticipated. But how can I walk away gracefully? I'm sort of pushed out there, and
this is,
like you said,
kind of what you rock.
Yeah,
right?
I've sort of exposed myself.
Well, it certainly does mark you as rather psychologically different than the other people who are running for this office, very much because they want to be.
Yeah, that makes a big difference to them. I mean, I like I told Jay Leno, he says, what do you think your chances are? And I said, well, I don't know, but I want to know if I would win. I said, well, my name's on the ballot, so I've taken the risk. And it's, I just don't think I have control of tomorrow or the next day. I just have to do what I think is the right thing to do at the very moment.
When you are on the campaign trail and you are with these other individuals at debates and you hear what they say, I would imagine that some of it sounds fairly frightening to you, in the way that they are making an effort not to espouse positions but to appeal to people. Whether they're announcing, they're the Christian, or we have to have a strong man of God in the White House. I mean, I would imagine that a lot of what they say and what they say the government should do is rather frightening to you.
Yeah, that's annoying to me, because the Miami debates, did you watch that one?
No, I didn't.
The Miami debate was everybody was pandering to the Cuban Americans of one generation, and they were in the audience. And I stuck to my foreign policy. What are we in foreign policy? Talk to people, trade with people, and work out our differences, even when they're bad guys, just like we had to do during the Cuban crisis. We talked to Khrushchev, and we took missiles out of Turkey. I said, this is what we should do. And I said, even with Castro, we should be talking to him. We should be trading. We should be traveling there. Wow. Ooh. booed, they hissed. It was horrible. But everybody else had it. Then they jumped on it. You know, they didn't get personal, but they became super militant. And in a way, they practically could be interpreted, he won't last through my term, we'll get him. It was almost like, we'll go in there and root him out militarily. You know, so they reacted in the opposite direction to appeal to that crowd. And of course, that to me was very disappointing. But then I went to a rally. It was 90% Cuban Americans, but they were 18 and 20 and 24 years old, and they entirely endorsed what I was saying, because they're in a different generation, and they're ready to travel to Cuba. Castro's not going to invade this country. Other people get to go to Cuba, and when they want to go to Cuba, they have to go to Mexico. What kind of freedom is that? Canadians are having economic deals with them. And, you know, Castro is over the hill. It's done with. Let's move on. But it's a generational thing. So my supporters there said, don't feel badly. It won't hurt you, because the people that are with you will love it, because they're sick and tired of that. And yet, if I concentrate on that crowd and looking at the other candidates, it's pandering. That's annoying.
Isn't that basically what a political race for the presidency is all about? Is going to work to saying whatever is convenient on any given day to any given audience?
Absolutely. And people, I'll go into Nevada or Iowa, and they say, well, what do you have? Media people, I'm telling you. Now, what is it that you have to offer the people of Iowa? The same thing I offer the people of Nevada and whatever other state. Low taxes, get out of the income tax, peace, get out of the war, sound money. That's good for everybody.
Not ethanol. Not ethanol.
No, I don't support that. I said, when we got to talk about ethanol, I said, I hear you can get more ethanol out of hemp. I'd legalize your right to grow hemp. Which they probably would. Hemp is better for ethanol than corn. But that's it.